Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ episode 106, the knife series where I answer all your questions, whether they're sharp or dull. And this week, in the spirit of the holidays, we're celebrating the spirit of knife giving. Let's check it out. All right, hope everyone is having a good holiday weekend, but even if you're not, we're going to keep our FAQ series going here. Hopefully it's something to cheer you up maybe just a little bit, or to keep the good times rolling for that matter. If you're new to this series, the deal is we answer questions left in the comments section below our FAQ videos. So that's how you get a chance for your question to be featured. If you would like that chance, just drop it in the comments below. First today comes from Matthew Russell. My brother is going elk hunting and I'm wanting to get him a fixed blade for Christmas to take with him for field processing. Needs to have a comfortable handle with the lightest weight because it will be a lot of hiking. Trying to keep it under $100. What would you recommend? Good stuff. I've got a few options here. The first one, actually I had this knife in last week's FAQ video and it would happen to still be hanging around here. The Mora Bowl could be an interesting choice. It's a pretty lightweight package overall. It's pretty well within your budget, about $57. And it is a Scandi ground knife, but it's got that scalloped front grind there behind the belly, thinning that edge out, and it's got, speaking of belly, the appropriate amount of belly to do some hunting tasks. Really compelling option, I think, and it can even be had with a sheath with this kind of survival kit built onto it. That's that $57 price point that I mentioned. It comes with a fire steel and a diamond sharpener to keep that edge up. Standard one's like $36 without the extra gubbins there. Could be a good option, might not be though, and I only say that because I'm making an assumption here. If you're purchasing the hunting knife for your brother in this case, he probably isn't a knife guy, I'm guessing. Again, big assumption here. Because if he was, he probably already knows what he wants to carry and is going to be asking for it specifically or buying it himself. And the Scandi grind on this, while easy to sharpen, is less familiar to folks who aren't, people like you and me, who are nerds and get into this sort of thing. As such, he might not sharpen it quite the way it needs to be sharpened, or might find it a little head scratching. Still a good option, but for something a bit more conventional, we're talking hunting, we're talking gift quality, buck knives. I mean, is there a more ready answer? Possibly a less obvious suggestion here than some, but I'm gonna go with the Small Pursuit Pro. The small versus the large version for two reasons. One, the small one is under your price cap. The large one is a little bit over $100. And also, you mentioned weight. And while I don't think like super ultralight is necessarily a concern, the smaller one is going to be a little bit lighter. This is a $95 knife, and it's 3.3 ounces without the sheath. And it's a simple nylon sheath that doesn't add a whole lot of weight to it. And I went with the Pro over the other versions because, you get a bump up in steel with the Pro here, S35 VN steel, for a good deal more edge retention than the base steel, which comes with a green handle. You got the orange handle on this particular version. 3 3/4 inch blade, clip points. Actually, that's not actually a clip point now that I look at it. There is an arc to that swedged portion right there. And just a hint of recurve too. Just a very swoopy looking blade. Has a nice thing going on. It's got what you need for a hunter, for sure. If he's got larger hands though, maybe spring a few extra bucks for the large. My hands are slightly larger than average, as I like to say, and the small is just barely enough. Doesn't quite, as you can see there, let me give it a good angle for Thomas right there.
If you stay in one place.
Sorry, I'm doing this a lot today. Yeah, so apologies all around. It's the day before Thanksgiving when we're filming this, just to get a peek behind the curtains. We're all antsy, ready to go.
Turkey cravings.
So you can see right there the space it takes up in my hands. Not quite a hand-filling grip, which is not a terrible thing if you're inside an animal doing some processing. There's less to kind of get in the way at the same time. But take that under advisement. Another cool option, because we kind of had fun thinking of some cool options, is the RJ1 Journey from Revo Knives. About $87.50 for this knife. I'd say contrasting with the Buck, which is an American-made knife and carries a little bit of a price premium, with the Revo, it's a few bucks less. The materials or the blade steel is not going to be as premium, but I think the fit and finish is actually a little bit better. It is an imported knife though, so take that into consideration for the person you're gifting to. But orange handles again, because hunting, they've got other handle colors too. Just under 4 inches on the blade itself, a 9CR series stainless, which is solidly capable stuff. Roughly about 440C metallurgically speaking, if you're familiar with that stuff. Thin enough, almost a full flat grind and a very broad profile. This thing has slicing licked. I mean, it is a great slicer. Nice manageable size as well. Little bit heavier than the Buck. I think we're at 5.1 ounces, and then you add the sheath, which is a Kydex sheath with a Tech Lock, adds a little bit more weight. Still extremely manageable though, I would say. Very cool knife. Another thing where this kind of pulls double duty beyond just the hunting stuff, I think this makes a great camp kitchen knife as well. A little camp cookery stuff going on. And for folks like me with bigger hands, it has a little more handle to grab onto. And one final option is, I know you requested a fixed blade, but then Thomas reminded me about this product, which we are all kind of taken with right now. It is the Cold Steel Click and Cut Max Hunting Kit. It is not a fixed blade. It's not a folder either, even though it may look like one. This is coming in about $86, an interchangeable blade kit. And I'll show how it works here. Well, never mind. I'll show how it works first and then get to the rest. The handle is from their Ultimate Hunter folder. Already on brand, so to speak. And it features the triad lock here at the back, which operates the same way as a lock back. And you've got several different blades to throw on the front here. It's not going to be a high-end steel, but you've got a few different blades to work with. And it's not disposable, importantly. I should mention that. This is something that's designed to be sharpened after use once you take it back at the end of the day, so to speak. But open up the triad lock, it starts to fold until you get to about there, and then you can simply slide the blade right out. Going back in is exactly the reverse. Pretty nice. This is the caping blade right here. It comes with this pouch. It is beltable with the 2 belt loops there on the back. A little bit heavier, I will admit. This whole rig, I don't have a measurement on the site. We will get a weight and put it on the screen here. But it comes with several different blades. We have a bigger skinner with a gut hook. I'll put out right there. We have a bigger drop point, almost a spear point shape, in fact. That'll go right there. A 5-inch fillet. And actually, I haven't even tested to see if this has any flex. Be very careful here. Now, it's a pretty rigid fillet knife, but a very agile shape that could get into some narrow spaces if needed. And then last but not least, we have a bone saw as well. Check that out. Pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and leave them out there. Why not for the rest of the video? You may or may not be able to see them on the screen there. It's a pretty cool set and definitely feels gifty to me. Hope that helps.
And elks are big, so lots of blades to deal with that.
Extra blades don't stink. All right. Next question comes from Ian's Clone.
What happened to the regular Ian?
I was thinking that. Did something happen to the original, or does he know about you?
Does now.
And do you go by Ian, actually?
Or Ian 2.
Ian 2. Hey there, DCA and gang. In an effort to thumb my nose at the disposable razor companies, I took up straight razor shaving a few years ago. Weighing my options at the time, I decided to go with a restored vintage blade, and it's been a rewarding venture, but it now feels time to upgrade, and I'm considering a brand new blade. Can you please show off some recommendable KC straights? Curious to compare what I know about vintage steel versus more contemporary innovations. Certainly. Well, I will say, I personally have never actually shaved with a straight razor. And in fact, I'm looking pretty scruffy today, in fact. Didn't always have the full beard, and I did use, it was a Fisker's hatchet, and I shaved the sides of my face, and I was like, oh wow, this actually worked. And then I went to go in here to the underside, and I got scared, and I didn't complete the job. But that was when I was really starting to finally get good at sharpening, and I wanted to see if I could do it, and I could do it. So that's my straight blade shaving experience. So I'm not an expert by any sort of stretch of the imagination on the physical act itself. So if those of you in the comments are, don't get mad at me. I'm sorry.
David is a professional amateur. Do not attempt.
Do not attempt. Yeah, I should caveat that. Don't try to shave your neck with a hatchet like I did. That's bad news. Yes, so I know a lot of people claim that the old stuff is always best, and I'm sure there's a ton of great, good old stuff, and there might be some kind of lackluster new stuff out there too. But I think we carry some pretty good products, and I would say look to the German-made stuff primarily. That seems to be where you get the best combination of quality and value. Not cheap stuff. This is not, or sorry, shouldn't say that. I said this is not inexpensive stuff, but there's some attainable stuff. Let me show you three right here. Let's start with the Dovo Best Value Straight Razor. And this is what I like to recommend for someone who isn't looking at a vintage piece, wants to buy a new straight razor to get into the, I shouldn't say hobby, like get into the practice. There we go. This is an $84 German-made straight razor, but it has a very thin carbon steel blade, or a very thinly hollow ground carbon steel blade, I should say, which is what you want. Nicely crowned top, unadorned, simple, but what you need there for comfort is in fact there, and just a simple black plastic handle in this case. Good starting point, might be a decent thing to compare, as you mentioned, but it's not quite, it's probably not a quote-unquote upgrade versus what you have now. You could also check out Boker. Their Zollingen German-made straight razors have a long history of being a good tool, and they've got some rather good-looking ones as well. This is the celebrated straight razor, and the is part of the name right there. Does it say? Yeah, it's the celebrated. It says it right on the blade. I don't know why I had to explain it, because you can see that. Regular price on this is about $230. Right now, however, I'm not sure how long the sale is going on. It's about $185, so a good chunk of change off. And same deal, nice thinly hollow ground carbon steel blade. You've got the adornments, such as the kind of gold looking inlay. I'm actually not sure if that's actual gold or not. I'm not sure. The crowned spine has some nice looking engraving, kind of a spiral or rope-like pattern. Olive wood handles here that look excellent as well. All feels very good. The other brand I would recommend you check out is Timor. Here is one of those. This is simply called the Straight Razor. $147, carbon blade, gold etching. Check out, in addition to the etching on the front, check out, carefully, the spine of that blade right there. It's faceted, gold colored, nice engraving on it, and the handle here is actually maple in this case. Very, very cool. German made, good stuff, high quality. But check those out, I would say. We'll leave links to to each of these individual razors down in the comments, but also just check out the selection from these brands. I'll ask Thomas to put a link to our shave section in the comments.
If you insist.
I do.
Okay.
Gently. Consider yourself asked. All right. Next question comes from Peter Minero. He said, DCA, I was wondering what are the real advantages of tactical pens? In this world of computers, I hardly write anything, and my handwriting has suffered from it, but that's another story. Why have a tactical pen? Why not just a pencil or any other pen? I think this is kind of two questions and two slightly divergent questions, so I'll break it down. First, what are the real advantages of tactical pens as opposed to just a pencil or any other pen? Well, the tactical aspect is the quote-unquote advantage. The idea is you have this writing implement that is built to, a highly tough build quality. That's very, very succinctly and cogently stated there, David. Basically, it's a blend of writing implement and Kubotan. Perfect example of that is this CRKT. It's the Tactical Williams Defense Pen. And it is, under most circumstances, a simple pen right here. Writes as well as whatever cartridge is in it and has a cap. But it's designed to be able to use the point of it to apply pressure to one small area. So it kind of magnifies or amplifies the force of a swing behind it, or even just pressure. Putting a little bit of pressure on that one small point. Like, I'm not pushing in to my hand a lot at all, and you can see it's leaving divots as I take it away. So that's really the tactical aspect of things. But on top of even if you never use it quote unquote tactically, they are built extremely solidly, and it's another one of those things that is a good gift item to think about. You've got stuff like this CRKT, which very clearly mimic something like a Kubotan. You've also got stuff like this tuff-writer here. This is the Mini Click tactical pen. Doesn't have the as fine a point as the CRKT because this is a clicky top pen, but that is still doing the same kind of thing if you use it in an aggressive fashion. But 99.99999% of the rest of the time of your life, you just get to enjoy this finely precision milled pen. Very, very cool stuff. It's about $85 for this pen. I almost called it a knife, but out of habit. Made in the USA. That CRKT is about $50, so a little bit more attainable. You mentioned, let's start to get into the blend of pen versus computer sort of thing. You can always go with something like this Smith & Wesson if you wish. This is the Tactical Pen Stylus, $30, and it has a smart screen stylus there on the end. So you're kind of blending the two. It can be useful on a tablet or a phone. You've got the tip or the apexed tip for the other uses, and then actually I forget how where this comes apart. There we go. There's the pen section right there. You can screw the stylus onto the back end, and you could be going between writing on paper, writing on your screen as you go, and pretty darn affordable too. Now, the second part of your question is why bother with a pen at all if we've got computers? And I've actually kind of gone down this journey myself. And because we kind of do less and less writing day to day, there's something nice about slowing things down when you do. The digital world, fast-paced, go, 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 frenzy, frenzy, frenzy. Slowing things down and being a little more intentional on how you write and what you write with when you do write, to me anyway, feels pretty good. And I actually have gone farther than most people probably would. I really enjoy a fountain pen for exactly that reason. Fountain pen takes a little bit more care to maintain than just any kind of ballpoint or gel pen. It is something that can last forever if you keep up to it. You take a little bit of a good care of it. And I only mention that because it allows me to bring up this right here, which is a pen I own and enjoy. This is a tactical fountain pen. Yes, there is such a thing. It is made by Boker. It is made from aluminum. You've got the strong tip, and it screws out into a medium nib fountain pen. Or sorry, no, a fine nib. Apologies all around. Very cool stuff. Comes with a cartridge, but I believe I found a converter that fit in mine. If you're a Fountain Mitt person, you'll know what I'm talking about. About 120 bucks for this on sale right now. Again, I don't know how long this poker sale's going on, for about 96. Very cool. And that's why I enjoy writing with a fine writing implement, whether it's tactical or otherwise. So it feels kind of good to be intentional about the act of writing nowadays. All right, now we come to the segment we call Measured Once, Cut Twice, where you folks react, or I highlight some reactions or feedback based on some previous stuff. And this one was related to the video we released earlier this week on some of the best new affordable knives that were released this year. And several people brought this knife up, and I thought it was a fantastic suggestion that I'm kind of sad I missed, but I still stand by the list in that video. I think it was a very good list. But Flat Coon says, why would you choose the Sencut that I brought up over the Civivi Mini Praxis? Well, for one, it's the price for the button lock quality was great, but the Mini Praxis is an excellent knife. It is the most affordable locking Civivi ever, just under 30 bucks. 3-inch D2 blade, flipper, ball bearings in the pivot, deep carry pocket clip, liner lock. Civivi's greatest hits, as I like to say, for 30 bucks. Man, it feels really good. It's got a great blade shape, something a little more it's a drop point with a little more visual interest than many drop points can come with. I kind of think it might have been better if they hadn't done the finger choil on this smaller knife, give me a little bit more edge, but they were mimicking the look of the larger Praxis, so I'll give them a pass here. And it's not, you're not losing too much in any case. Man, the materials are excellent. The build quality is typical Civivi, which is to say excellent. Nice, thin, very sharp edge. You could do a lot worse than throwing this in somebody's stocking this year, for sure. Christmas stocking, not their actual socks. Don't throw it at people's feet. Caveat.
Well, I'm out of ideas.
Must be hell going to your place for the holidays. All right, now we come to the lightning round for today. Kid666, hey DCA, with Yule quickly approaching, which tool would you reach for quickly chopping down the perfect tree to decorate? Well, I would say forget the chopper. You gotta grab a saw. And we sell a lot of saws. For me, Silky is kind of my favorite brand. Their teeth just cut so dang good. You can get a fixed handle version like this Sugoi. I forgot what the name of it was. They also make folding knife. When you run a knife channel, everything you talk about becomes a knife, whether it's a pen, a flashlight, or a saw, so I do apologize for that.
It's just got lots of little names on it.
But they make fixed handle versions, they make folding versions. The fixed handle one here does come with a sheath. It's over there. Super, super excellent. Most of them can be had for less than $100 too, sometimes way less than $100 depending on which one you get, but go for a saw, right tool for the job. Next question comes from Fuller Knife Reviews. Hey DCA, what knife would you recommend for the Mole Ninja in your life? Gotta be the Cold Steel FGX Balisong, which, oh sorry, I opened it in rather unflamboyant fashion, so.
Nice.
Sorry about that. These do work just fine. This one's a little stiff out of the box, I will say. Working better now. But that's your guy right there. All synthetic construction, not some nasty, sharp, pointy teeth. All black, of course, because it's gotta be. Check that out. $15 too. That way when they lose it or drop it, it's fine. No worries. All right, Todd Miller asks, I was wondering about an EDC chef knife, fixed blade, under $100. Thanks. I did mention the Revo Journey earlier as being a good camp kitchen knife. That could be good. But I do have an option here that is actually KnifeCenter staff endorsed or executed even, not even just a suggestion. Thomas has given one of these as a gift, the CJRB Silax. About $70. You've got RPM 9, powder metallurgy steel. I kind of think of this almost, yes, it's a chef knifey, but it's almost like a blend between a chef knife and a sushi knife, kind of shrunk down a bit. And it comes with a Kydex sheath. So you've got your everyday usage right there. Slap a belt attachment on there. What do we got here? Is this a large tech lock won't work? Let's see, small tech lock. One of these is bound to work, come on. Oh no, small tech lock doesn't work either. Check out the Civivi T-clip though, I think. Let's see. Yes, a T-clip might work, I will say. But in any case.
Give him an ulti-clip.
I was
pocket shelf.
just going to say ulti-clip. That could also work really well. These things are really cool. All right, now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most serious question of the day, which comes from Ed Archard. As Christmas approaches, I've been wondering what kind of knife would Santa carry to cut ribbon for presents and remove stones from his reindeer's hooves? Well, Santa's not actually wrapping presents or cutting ribbons. The elves do that. It's a union thing. As for the stones, the Case Equestrian knife came to mind. We'll have a picture of it here because I don't actually have one in front of me. We didn't have one on the shelf on filming day. But in order to have something to show you, the other thing that Santa might want to have on his scurrying about on Christmas Eve, an ice scraper. Like this Red Horse Knife Works, wow, the Puncher's Chance Ice Scraper. I had to come up with the full name. There you go, huh? CPM D2. Almost, actually does have a bit of an edge on it right there. $143. Ice doesn't stand a chance right there.
If it's an ice scraper, is it Cryo D2?
Will be by the time he's done with it. But that's all we have for today. Thank you everyone for sticking around. Again, if you want a chance to have your question featured in a future episode, just leave it in the comments below. And don't forget, whether you're buying something for yourself or buying one of these things as a gift, you get to keep our KnifeCenter rewards points, which means you've basically got free money to spend on your next purchase. But that's all for now. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter. That's Thomas behind the camera, and happy holidays, everyone.